Hi class, Professor Dumel here. So this is going to be a recap for yesterday's session because I forgot to hit record. But I am going to go to, this is the lecture that we went over yesterday. So let me hide this. I don't want this to appear. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is the lecture that I went over, and for the first portion, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the first portion just kind of walks through our code and what we want it to be and what the different components are. So right here, once I double click on this image, it didn't give me like a full screen because I'm not presenting. This basically, if I hit present, for example, I'll be good. So if I click on this, this is the goal for this video. So we are trying to have an actor overlap this trigger box, and then we want them to teleport somewhere. And then we're also going to be saying, hey, what do we want it to move? It'll be the player character, and then we'll also add the location. So that's our goal today. So the first portion of the lecture basically goes over what the different components mean. So first, component number 1 goes on over actor begin overlap. Component 2 goes over the get player character inside of this. So it breaks down. So the first portion just breaks down the code and what it means. So right now, but once it starts to get on this end, it says front end setup guide. This is the part that walks you through all of the different steps in order to get this to work. So we are trying to create 2 different spots for the player to enter and then exit at another point. So let's go ahead and do this and we'll follow through with this. So right here, it says mark your teleport spots. So for, like I've mentioned here, for this assignment, you can import free assets from the Fab store. So right here, if I'm at the Epic launcher and I go to Fab, it will give me the option to open it up, kind of like what we've done in class, and it'll say start exploring, and then it'll give me different options. So if I go ahead and type in what I'm looking for, yes, I want to proceed with this. If I want to look for like a free asset, I can do that. I always do free because I'm not, let me see more filters, because I'm not trying to buy anything, only show free products. So there's some cool things here. Let me see. Last time I tried to add some to my level, but I don't know if it ended up adding it for me. So I did not add any, but that's okay. For this one, I'll just use a regular. But right here, let's say this is saved in my library. So let's see if I try to add it. My computer's a little slow at times. So it should be in my library right here. It says it is. But the real question is, do I see it there? I don't see it there, unless, I don't know if it's looking at a different account that I have. Maybe it's a different account, but I don't see it there. But that is okay. So when you're doing it, you're able to, let's say you click on this and you say save to, it should save. There should be another button here that says save to library. We will go ahead and save that, and it should appear here in the Epic launcher, and you'll be able to add it to the project that you want. So for today, I'll just keep it really simple. We won't do all of that. I don't know why this keeps popping up. So here it says to mark my spot. So I already went and added one here. So this is my first spot. This is where I want the player to enter, and this one will be where I want the player to exit. Just to make it a little fun, I did this in class. So starter content, I went to the particles here just to add a little spark, just to, when you're playing a game, whenever you see a spark somewhere, you see that it's something that you probably should kind of like walk into. So I'll leave it that way. So it says add our locations. So I just added my location, my entry port, as well as the exit port. So right here we're going to configure the volumes and actors. And what this means is for the first step, it tells me to add the trigger volume. Right now we're using a trigger volume, although it does the same thing as a trigger box, but sometimes with the trigger boxes, it wants you to add the blueprint specifically to that blueprint. But I wanted to just do it for the level, so that way it can call different things within the level itself rather than adding to the trigger box only. So remember our actors panel. If it isn't here on your screen when you begin, go ahead and click on this drop down button right here, and it says place actors panel. So just so we can have it right here at all times. So trigger volume, we'll add the trigger volume. So like I said, functions the same way, but it's just that sometimes it gives you more to do with the whole level. So boom, I've added my trigger volume. What does step 2 tell me? It tells me to add destination actor. So now that we've added the trigger volume for the entry point, we want to add something else to the exit point so the player can know, so we can code it to tell the player to get out there. So what we're gonna be doing for this, remember this is our entry point. We will go ahead on the right side, on the left side, we'll just simply place an actor. And what an actor means, you can give it different functions, but it's just a regular actor. It doesn't really do much until you tell it to do something. So this is just gonna be used so we can say, hey, this is where I want the player to get out of. Here I put position accurately. This is if you are obviously designing a level, you want it to maybe a specific location that you want the player to get out of. Maybe you don't want them to get out here, you want them to get out of here, or maybe there's something you want the player to see within the level, so you want to really position it accurately depending on what you want. Okay, so now that we have this here, we'll click on, let's go ahead and click on the trigger volume right here, click on it, and then we're gonna go ahead and open up the level blueprint. Okay, so this should not be here. Let me, it can, I just deleted it. So now that we're here in the level blueprint, we are going to start coding. So now let's create the overlap event, right? This is our first thing that we're doing. We're gonna add the event node. And remember, if you want more information on what all of these things mean, there is a clear breakdown right here for the first session that walks you through what all of these things mean, right? So right here, it says right click. So we're reading, so although this is our title or headline, we are reading specifically here to tell us what to do. So it says right click on the event graph, and we have to search for on actor begin overlap. Boom, we have that first one right here. I'll just make this smaller. So we have our first thing right here, right? We have added the on actor begin overlap to tell us, hey, once the player steps on this, I want this specific thing to happen. So now this explains this a little bit more. So now if we go into step 2, it tells us to drag a wire from the begin overlap execution pin to create a new connection point. So right here, this is always the execution pin. This is called the execution pin. If you drag in it, we will type in boom. Okay, we have this right here. So now what's going on here? It's telling me, hey, once the actor begins overlapping with this, I want this specific thing to happen. So then now it's like, okay, you want this specific thing to happen, but what is supposed to move? What is supposed to move to another location? And where do you want them to move? So this is where those two nodes will come into play. When it comes in, a DEST means destination location, and this means destination rotation. So in the event that you want your player to place to face a particular way, once they get into the exit point, this is where you would use this, but we're not going to be doing that right now. So right here, it tells us to select and add the teleport node to your blueprint graph for instant player transportation, and we just did that. So then what is one of the things that we always do? We always compile, right? Just compile to save. So now our next step, it's telling us to specify the target player. Because remember, this is asking me like, hey, Christelle, what is the target? Meaning, what is supposed to move? What is supposed to teleport to another location? So here it says, from the teleport node's target pin, drag a connection and type get player character to add the player reference node. So if I drag from here, and it tells me to type in get player character. Okay, great. We have another node, and this node that we just added in, remember, you can always reference back to our other slides. This is saying, hey, the player character, meaning the player that I'm playing with, is the target for this. Meaning is the player is the thing that is going to move. So now it tells you this critical connection ensures that the system affects the player character specifically rather than any random actor in the scene. We don't want another actor to move. We want the player character to move. So now let's compile and save. And then we just kind of get out of here, right? So just to kind of, hey, we're done with that first step. Let's breathe in, breathe out. We're good. This wasn't too hard at all. So now remember our actor. We have our actor here. I don't want you to forget about the actor. Just make sure it's not on the ground so we can reference it. So boom, we have our actor here. And then we're going to set, we're almost done. We're going to set this up really quick. So then let's go ahead again and open up the level blueprint. And remember, we have these little guys here. Boom. So what do we do? Now it says select the exit actor. I just wanted you to remember that that did exist in the scene, to not forget it. So now step 2 tells us to create a reference. So now we're going to right click. If we right click, it says to type in create a reference to, it should not have said that. It should have said, it shouldn't have said to SM Chamber Cube. It should have said actor 2 unless I gave it a different name. See, that's why it's so important. We have to click on the actor itself, because if we clicked on here, it would not work. It was referencing something else. So technically, I guess that could work, but we want to we want everything to have a specific section. Let me see. So here we will put create a reference to actor. There we go. Create a reference. So make sure you always clicked on it, because something like this can happen. I know this is actor 2, but this is when I did it. So whatever it is, so just always remember whatever it is that it's called here, because I think I had another actor 2, but let's just do actor. Whatever it's called here, make sure that is the correct name. That's the actor we added to the scene. So now what we're doing is to establish a connection to your destination marker. But before we do this, we will drag a reference. Actually, it should have been drag from the reference node and add. Okay, let's just do this. So we'll drag from here and we will add get actor location. So now that we have the actor location, the next step is we will connect it to the destination location right here. So what we just did is we created a reference to actor, which is the actor that is right here. We're creating a reference, meaning we're calling it. We're calling it and we're saying, hey, we want to know what your location is. So this is saying, hey, this is the actor. We want to know the location of this specific actor to tell it to be the location where we want our player character to go to. So now if I go ahead and compile, and then let's say I hit play, I'll do one last walkthrough of the code after this. So let's say I hit play and I'm like, okay, I want to go to another location. Boom, I'm here. I'm here in another location. Obviously I didn't, I can always code this to go back to the other location if we wanted to, but that is it. So this is a quick walkthrough of how you would move your player from one end to another. As mentioned before, what we did was we created a trigger volume because we wanted this to affect the whole level. So we created a trigger volume right here. Created a trigger volume right here, this big box right here. We opened up the level blueprint and we created this node on actor begin overlap and told it, hey, once something overlaps with this thing, with this trigger volume, we want it to move. So now this node right here is telling me, okay, what exactly do you want to move? So then this is where the target comes in, and the target is the player character. And then what we also did is we created a reference to the exit point. That's why I had you exit really quick and go to the actor right here. We called it, we're basically like, hey, let's say, for example, we called it on the phone, right? We're like, hey, I need you. And you're like, okay, I need you. Now it's here. We created this reference. And then we asked it for its location. We're like, hey, what is your location? And then whatever location that it told us it's at, we're like, okay, this is the location where I want my player to teleport to. And that is the end for week 9 session 2's lab. This is what we did in class. And for your assignments, let's go to the assignment really quick, just in case anybody needs a refresher of the assignments. Right here, if my page will load, welcome to your courses. It's loading. If we go to VRT101 and we go to modules, we are in week 9. I don't know why this thing keeps popping up. Week 9. So we have 3 different assignments. I know it's a lot of assignments, but we got a chance to start on some of them in class. So for paper maps, as I said in class, everyone will be submitting a paper map of their projects, regardless if you're working on a team or not. These are individual paper maps. Like I said, you can build them on Canva or PowerPoint, or you can draw them on paper. So for this one, you're mapping your world by designing paper maps, and then you're also doing a legend as well. So if you need more reference, the class presentation and you can look up the recording for that session as well. I went over these things. And then for world design, this is where you will do what we just did today. You will design, you'll take the paper maps that you built for the assignment 09 paper maps. You'll take that, you'll create an Unreal level sort of to reflect that, and you will add text render actors and teleportation, which we just learned today. So this is what you'll do for world design. And then for educational application, you will be, for this challenge, you will need to identify one VR or AR application in the realm of education and add an innovative feature to it. Or you can use a non-VR and AR application and add some type of VR feature to it, but it has to fall in the realm of education. So you're not coming up with an entirely new concept, but you're adding a new concept to something that already exists. So that is the lecture for today. Well, the lecture that was yesterday, but we just condensed it to about 16 minutes and walked through step by step. And I will say another important piece, although I was intentional about not going through all of it, is this first portion of the lecture it really breaks down the code. If you really take the time to read it, I want you to be able to read. I want you to be able to read and understand what these things mean. So definitely take a look at that and then ask me if you have any questions.